turn to speak. You're probably tired of hearing me speak. I've been here so many times now. I'll try and keep it short, but I'm going to introduce some ideas and words without spending a lot of time on them, but I would like us all to think about what those ideas and words mean for us personally. And our relationships to those ideas and words will evolve as we evolve as human beings, as college students, as professionals. So the first term I'm going to throw out at us as somebody working in the arts and sciences and in higher education at large is the idea of a comfort zone, right? What does it mean to be in your comfort zone? What does it mean to be out of it? You have to think about both those things in order to progress as a learner, as a scholar, as a professional. Comfort zone, that's the first idea I'm introducing. The next idea that develops out of this is learning. And learning is something that we all think about all our lives and do all our lives. You can't be a teacher if you're not a learner. You can't be a good professional if you're not a learner in whatever field. You can't be an expert without always upgrading your expertise. So we can think, there are many terms we have that are associated with learning, and I'm going to list some of them. One of them is deep learning, not in the sense of neural networks as my esteemed colleagues in the computing and data science look at them, but deep learning in the sense of going in depth into a discipline and scaffolding your knowledge so that you start with a found base, a strong foundation, and then you keep moving, building on that foundation. And sometimes you have to dig up that foundation, right? So deep learning sometimes will require unlearning, relearning, and learning, all three. So think about what unlearning means, relearning means, and learning means. I want to also talk about something that everybody has alluded to up to this point, including our founder chancellor, the whole person, social and emotional learning. There's a lot of that happens in the life of a young adult. But it happens all the time, at every stage of life. You have to do some social and emotional learning. Your brain is changing, no two brains are the same. You have to know how to work with others, work with yourself. So social and emotional learning goes along with whatever learning you're doing on the academic front. Then there's learning how to learn. Now, when I say learning how to learn, many may have encountered this phrase as in Coursera courses, where they say, okay, use the Pomodoro technique, and which is take a break after 25 minutes and start again. There are courses that give you tips and tricks with which to acquire knowledge, but that's not what I mean. I mean it in the sense of metacognition. How do you learn? You have to think about that as you are learning, and it is this meta-awareness that will make you a better learner. So that's another term to explore, learning how to learn in the larger, more holistic sense. Multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity. There are three terms that you can look up for yourself. What do these terms mean? At Sai University, we talk about interdisciplinary education, but there are these three terms which are slightly different from each other. I'll give you a quick cheat sheet for understanding these terms. Multidisciplinarity is when you take a concept and you study it in biology, you study it in philosophy, you study it in computer science or history, okay, in different disciplines. But the disciplines don't really affect each other. You may have the same concept, and there's a lot of value in that, to know that certain concepts are studied by researchers in all these areas, right? So even saying there's a deep learning in computer science and a deep learning in education makes you think about, well, what does that term mean, right? You have to historicize it and think about how it came to mean one thing in computer science and one thing in education, right? And psychology. And then there is interdisciplinarity. Interdisciplinarity is when you've had contributions from 2 disciplines or more in understanding a particular concept or topic, right? We know that very often researchers start in one area and end up going into other areas. So you may have somebody in physics who also needs to acquire knowledge in biology in order to work on a problem. So that requires interdisciplinary work. And then transdisciplinary is the trickiest term. It's the one where you transcend all these disciplines and then you develop a language that is beyond each of these disciplines. And it is the trickiest kind of collaboration, but often the most rewarding and the most exciting. Okay? So I've talked about these only to say that our wonderful faculty and our wonderful staff have all embraced the work of many disciplines in their lives. And so this liberal education, interdisciplinarity, it's something we've all had lived experience of. But for the first time in India, there are universities who are saying, since we're doing it anyway, with lack of awareness, and without good strategies with which to transition from one domain to the next, why not make that a part of your curriculum so you'll be more successful at what you're passionate about and what you want to succeed in? So I think the focus on the coming together of disciplines while developing specialization in a particular discipline is something new that we have to offer, and our wonderful faculty here are constantly thinking about. So you may have a faculty member who is interested in who writes poetry, but has developed an interest in disability studies and neurodivergence. You may have a faculty member who is a physicist who works in sustainability and international relations. You may have a faculty member who works in an area like robotics, but is also interested in culture and art and other areas, and uses that to draw in students to their domain, is also interested in collaborative work, in gamification of learning. So we have faculty members who have developed more than one specialization and whose work in one specialization affects the work they do in another specialization. So that's a very exciting thing for you. Get into conversations with faculty in the arts and sciences, in CDS, in law, to see how this works. Our law faculty, by the way, are no less interdisciplinary. You'll hear that from them soon, and the same with our faculty in computing and data science. Arguably, in the age of AI and ChatGPT, the humanities and all the technology work, in computer science, data science, has to come together for us to solve some of the problems that automation is creating and other kinds of, advances, in generative artificial intelligence are creating. You only have to go watch Oppenheimer actually to see interdisciplinarity at work. Christopher Nolan has brought that out very beautifully in the movie. I'm going to end with 8 qualities, because I don't think an education is really, can I say something controversial here? I don't think education is about subjects. It's about cultivating qualities in the whole individual. It doesn't matter what you study. It's how you study. And it is that attentiveness that you build up that in fact will ensure your success in any field. Whatever you term as success. Success is another word we can think about. It means different things to different people. So these are the qualities. Critical thinking, which doesn't mean negative thinking, in case that's what you're thinking. In fact, there's going to be a course on this taught by our philosophy faculty member who knows more about this than me. But it's the capacity to analyze and reason. Okay? It has a very long history. Creativity, number 2. This is your capacity to innovate, to originate new ideas, And often there is a notion that is only in the arts and humanities that creativity is important. But I haven't met a single mathematician or computer scientist or physicist or biologist at the top of their field who isn't creative. They're enormously creative. And their vocabulary is vast and it's profound. Third, curiosity. That's the thing that our school systems stifle. It's time to awaken it again. Communication. And when I talk about communication, I'd like you to think about listening, the role of listening. Let's leave out speaking, reading, writing. We all know about those. Listening is the quality we need the most and we have the least. So it's something to cultivate. What habits do we need to develop to cultivate listening? Maybe checking your Instagram feed during a boring inaugural function might interfere with your capacity to listen, right? So, I mean, we have to think about this in terms of, well, how do we do it? Well, put your gadget somewhere you can't reach it, right? There's active listening. Think about what that means. Listening to yourself as well as listening to others. I'll go on to compassion. Compassion is a paternalistic word, if you ask feminists, because it implies that you are on a higher level and the person you're being compassionate towards is on a lower level, but we need to bring those levels here. So that means maybe using a word like empathy, but the C was very convenient, so I kept compassion. Empathy can be of two kinds, cognitive and affective, and there are more kinds. Cognitive is understanding somebody's mind overall. Affective is understanding somebody else's emotional states. You need both. Character, professional integrity, personal integrity, academic integrity. These are qualities we'll keep talking about. And this is the thing we're most deeply worried about as humans. How can we be honest in our work, in our conversations with each other, give each other credit, respect each other? And then finally, I'll end on this word, connectedness. Unless we embrace that everybody's connected, butterfly flapping in the Amazon, right? You've heard that metaphor. Unless we embrace connectedness, humanity and non-humans are at risk. The planet is at risk. So let's all work together across disciplines, across functions, across roles and levels to take the world forward. Thank you.